All right, welcome everybody. If you're just joining us, we have 47 participants on the line. That is 53 short of our target for 100. So let's bump that number up to 100 by inviting our teammates, because we have Bill Predebon as our trainer for today. Now, if you don't know Bill's backstory, before getting started with Renatus, he was actually a pro skier, and this was in Vail, Colorado. But at this time, he realized he was not qualified to do much else and felt like he was unemployable. Around this time, he got into the franchise industry, but due to a lack of knowledge, it ended up costing him his business. Then in 2007, he had heard about real estate investing, but didn't have the education to get started, so tried doing it on his own. And during the crash of 2008, he went upside down over $400,000 on a home. Now, after all these obstacles and these multiple mistakes in business that Bill had made, he found Renatus around 2008, and in his first year alone, made 8 times more than he had his previous year. Ever since then, Bill has, plugged into the Renatus system, got educated, grown his marketing team. He's now done over 130 deals. He's grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate. He's a PIT team member, marketing leader, and I'm very grateful and very honored to introduce Bill as our speaker today. So without further delay, I'd like to bring Bill Predebon on the line. Good morning, Bill. How are you today? Bill, we are unable to hear you properly. Bear with us, folks, as we get these technical difficulties sorted out.
What about now?
Yep, now is perfect, Bill. We can hear you loud and clear.
We're going to have to test that every morning, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's good that we have you on the line now.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm glad that it's good that I'm on the line. And you know what, man? I'll tell you, we just had a holiday, and you're out here making it happen, putting this together, coming up with quotes, getting people fired up and motivated to be on the call. And it just goes to show that you've got a core belief with Renatus, and that you absolutely want to improve yourself and your team really by volunteering, but by just being a part of anything and everything you can. And so you're doing a great job. I really appreciate it. It's an honor for you to introduce me. I appreciate it very much, buddy. Good job. Absolutely. Welcome, everybody. The same goes for y'all for being on this call. And like Abby said, just making it out here at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., whatever it happens to be in your area. Throw me up on the screen there. Morning. Uh-oh, I don't know what just happened there. Boom. So am I muted? No. Good, perfect. Throw the chat up here real quick. One of these days I'll start sharing my screen and draw something out for you guys, but I like to talk. Let's see, 760-533-3141 if you're taking notes. I put that in the chat for you. So if you're dialing in, it's 760-533-3141. And if you are on the Zoom, then you can see it in the chat for my phone number. So you guys are welcome to that. Man, I'll tell you, I had a great weekend. I hope everybody had a great Memorial weekend. Remember why we have that holiday, and celebrated it accordingly. I got to see some family out in Philly. Then I flew back in, and then I had a good day. Did a little work yesterday even on the holiday. It's not really a holiday. I mean, it's a holiday, but, as an entrepreneur, we can work whenever we want. So I had a good meeting, went and saw a property that I put under contract last week. And it's a good property, but there's a really bad comp, so I got to reevaluate the whole thing. But had a good dinner with lunch with two of my teammates. 2 of the people on my group, on my team. Talk business, good time. So it's always on. It's always on. I guess the cool thing, people say you work all the time. I'm gonna get to a point here in a minute, as I always do. But remember, if for everybody out there, welcome if you're brand new, if you're fairly new to this, and of course, if you've been around for a while, you guys know you can chat up anything. You can come off mute, *6 to, I don't have the whole thing muted, Abdi might, but you can *6 to unmute yourself or chat. And if you've got a question or something that you want to talk about other than what I'm talking about, that's pertinent to whatever is going on in your business, that's important to you, for you to be more successful or to close a sale or whatever it is, or answer a question, then by all means, just shout it out, interrupt me, and take it away, because I'll do everything I can to help you in that regard, because this is about you guys. So yeah, people say a lot, that I work a lot, and I guess I work a lot. If you ask my wife, I work a lot, or all the time, or I don't know, whatever that means, but it's easy work, number one, right? Yesterday I had to deal with a tenant in my Airbnb in California. I got some weeds. I guess that my cleaning lady didn't let me know about the weeds, so I had to get my guy out there, out in California. I'm in Arizona, make a few texts, make a few calls, but at the end of the day, that guy's paying me $7,500 for 34 nights at my property. So it's not real hard work for me to simply take care of a few things, right? Make a few texts. Obviously, timing's always inconvenient, but I manage that property. It's pretty easy. Most of the stuff's done on VRBO, but my point is that we're always on, and I'm going to get to why. In fact, you might even title this "We're Always On." If you're not always on, and it's hard, like it's okay if you're just getting started. If you've been doing this 2 years, it doesn't matter. Like eventually, your curve will come around. Your shift will happen, and you'll move from your W-2 on a full-time basis or part-time basis into this business, both real estate and Renatus, and you'll get it. So it's totally, there's no hurry, you guys. There really isn't. Abby talks about my story a little bit, but if you remember, I don't recommend you not having a job when you get started in this business. I don't recommend that you quit your job right away. I don't recommend, do what you want, but it makes it hard. You're behind. And then when you go a couple months or a month without pay, and as an entrepreneur and you don't have a W-2 and you got bills to pay, it causes a strain. So you've really got to be prepared if you want to do it that way. But in any case, there's no rush. And eventually, so the goal for you guys to be, the sacrifice is this: whatever you're doing now with your family and your friends, your current lifestyle, and your work, eventually you have to sacrifice some of the time that you have when you're not working, or when you're not taking care of your family. Sometimes you'll hear Michael say this, right? And you look back at Michael's story, and he had to give up Xbox, so that was a lifestyle for him that he had to give up a little bit. But eventually you'll start to take away from W-2 in order to be doing this more. And so you might not take an extra shift, even though it means money in your pocket or money on your paycheck. You sacrifice that because you have to go do something that isn't going to pay you tomorrow or next week on Friday, but is going to pay you in time, forever. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about being on all the time. So like I went away, I left on Thursday. Thursday morning, I had the pit team call, right? After the, so I got on the call while that was from 7 to 8. I was listening to Christian while I was taking an Uber to the airport. And then the pit team came on at 8. And so I got on the video. Fortunately, I was, I'm TSA pre-check, and I was able to get through security in 2 seconds. And I was able to look for food. My wife and I were looking for food and stuff. And so I had the video on. And I was able to be on video, listening to and participating in the call, not just listening, but actually participating. And so here I've been going on vacation, but yet I'm still, doing the things that are necessary for me to stay plugged in. I don't unplug for 4 or 5 days. Now there will be trips that you might do that, but it's a very small sacrifice for me to be on a call for an hour while I'm waiting to get on a plane. What else am I going to be doing, right? and then while I was gone, right, there's I obviously I've got my properties to take care of. It's pretty simple through text, very few calls that I have to be made. As far as the marketing goes, when we're talking about marketing, you guys, and so this is what I mean. The cool thing is, I believe, is that Renatus and with the new software Helios that's coming out with these drop cards. If you haven't gotten your drop cards, I recommend it. The systems that are going to replace the automatic text messages, the campaigns, if you want to call them that are going to be able to text people, are really going to help everybody stay on track with their prospects. But in the meantime, and maybe even, at first, right? Like any business, even being a property manager, even being a fix and flipper, no matter what it is that you're doing, it's always best if you get some experience doing it before you leverage it out, right? So at least you know what to expect when you have someone else doing the job, so you can tell if they're doing it well enough and efficiently enough and stuff like that. So most of you guys know this, right? So the same thing goes with your marketing and following up and following through and always being on. So this, for me, one of the things that I've been fortunate enough to be able to do is really stay with my people all the way through the end, right? And so there really is no end necessarily. However, so let's look at this. You guys, when you get started, obviously we've got see the people. So someone gets in your lead pipe, and then most of the time, you know what to do. You know that you question, ask them, you invite them to a presentation, and then you get them there, right? So that's step number one. You tell a story. Step number two, and step number three, you build for the event by inviting them to the event. Okay, and so what ideally we want to do, as you guys know, is the more people that are in this pipeline, the less you need to worry about the individuals that are in the pipeline, right? You worry about the pipeline itself. It becomes a constant pipeline. It's not take one person all the way through the system. A lot of times it starts there. The problems that we have in being able to close business and have sales starts there because our see the people part is a little bit low. We only have a 1 or 2 or 5 people in the pipeline, and we're trying to get them to an event, and they go to an event, and then all of those people ghost us, or they get to the next event and then they can't find the money. And so we're coddling these folks, and we don't have any new people. We haven't seen any new people. So I think that the system in Renatus software in the Helios is really going to help us work through that a little bit better, more efficiently and effectively, and help take it off our own plate. But in the meantime, like I said, it's helped me without a doubt in all my business to be able to do this on paper. And what I mean by that, and maybe for many of you younger kids and stuff, it's on your phone. But I constantly try to remind myself to stay in touch. Now, I carry papers around, and you've heard me say this, of my prospects, right? Whether they're on Craigslist or new. You can see this board behind me. That has my team. It has my direct sales, my direct prospects, and then it has my 5-star people that are getting 5-star, and even has the 5 stars that are already 5-star, and then who they're working with, so I can help them as well if they need it. And so that's my master list, if you will. But inside my folder right here, you guys, I have a bunch of crap, a lot of paperwork. If you could see my desk and I pan around, it's my wife hates it. I'm buried in paperwork. But it's not chaotic. It's organized chaos. And I'm not saying to change your ways. If you're far more organized, if you're on the computer with your documents and stuff, I mean, I highly recommend that over what I do. But I don't think sticky notes are a bad thing. I don't think that having notepads everywhere are a bad thing. I think that when you write things down, we know this, that it helps to keep things to memory, right? And so, I constantly update my list, and I'm going to get to when people fall off. If you guys got questions on this stuff, so follow me. I'm kind of doing an overview right now. We've got a lot of time here. I'm going to narrow it down because obviously there are times when people die. I mean, I don't mean physically, fortunately, literally. I just mean they go off the radar and they go away. So those people I don't necessarily text anymore until I go back to my notes. But if I don't have notes on them and I have lost it or thrown it away, I can't ever go back to those folks unless I go back to my Google Voice, perhaps, which I've done before. If it's cold market, if it's warm market, I go back through my phone, right? So when I get someone in the pipeline, so for example, I'll use the example from the other day. So what it's been now 3 weeks, I reached out to Carlos. And so again, look at the process. I mean, they haven't even been to a Thursday night since 10 years ago when they were, back in the old company days, right? But he's working on one of my properties. He's got a bid in for another property of mine. And then he also has, I actually did a one-on-one with them before they've even come to the meeting because his wife came over to one of the properties we were working on, and we were there. His daughter was there, and I did a little bit of 30-minute one-on-one with them prior to the meeting. And then I confirmed the date for this Thursday. I presented them with the information, and in the meantime, even over the weekend, I texted Carlos, right? Hey man, double checking. I'll find out about the next job at the end of next week. Let me know what your schedule looks like. And then that was kind of my excuse to say, hey, I'm going to text you the address for Thursday night. I'll see you and your wife and your daughter. I need their contact information so I can register them, for Thursday night. So it was just a reminder text, right? And so even though I know he's coming, even though I've already done a one-on-one, I'm constantly staying in contact with the folks. And so a lot of times it's in my head, but most of the time I have everybody written down. And I just another example. The other day, yesterday, I had some time on my hands when I was either watching TV or just chilling out doing nothing. And I scrolled through my phone way back, like all the way through May. And I saw some people that I needed, some numbers that I didn't have in my phone, which means they're prospects, right? And then I read a little bit about the last few texts that I had with them. And then I put in hello. So then it goes to the front of my phone because it's a text that's now a message that hasn't been sent, right? So it's a draft. And now this morning and tomorrow I can go through like a dozen or so drafts that I started, and I can text out another touch to those folks on inviting them for this Thursday, asking them a question, something that's intriguing so I can re-engage them. And these are from weeks ago, right? So in my text, I never delete my text. And then I write them down on a piece of paper. And then a lot of times I have dozens of pieces of paper, paper clipped together, where the same name is on half a dozen pieces of paper because I've rewritten them and put them and made a note next to them. And I know you guys have heard this before, so you don't need my system. But my point is that I'm always on, but it's very minimal work. It's not difficult to stay in touch with people in today's day and age through social media and or through text. And your phone calls, when it comes time, and I'll talk to that if you have any questions on phone calls. If there's any communication that needs to be done, in my opinion, you guys, and this may be the hardest part mentally for us, where the 10-step training, the Super Saturday training, the IMA trainings that you're doing, the EMT stuff, this is where that training will kick in, right? Going to Toastmasters and things like that, or working with your 5-star. This is the part where it becomes crucial that you develop a little bit this ability, because it's easy to text a question or to answer a question through text or email or whatever. Email is kind of historic, whatever you want to call it, outdated, but whatever it is, Instagram or private message, direct message, whatever. But there's no tonality. There's no ability to control the conversation. As you know, you can't develop rapport that way. For me, it's a message. That's why it's called a message. It's messaging back and forth. It's not communication. So, when it comes down to talking about funding, and that's a little deeper, in a minute. We'll get to that. But talking about funding, even booking someone to an event, right? Even like, hey, are you going to be there Thursday night? Well, yeah, if they've already committed, you're not going to ask them if they're going to be there. You got to assume that they're going to be there. So, hey, I'll see you Thursday. Can't wait to introduce you to Gary or whatever it is, right? It's a comment. It's a quick reminder. It's not, hey, dude, want to make sure everything's okay. You're still going to make it on Thursday night. If you want to do that, in my opinion, you guys, these are all my opinions. This is what I do. You don't have to do this. But you want to develop your own process where you're always on. And you're always thinking about, I'm constantly thinking about who I need to reach back out to or discover somebody new, right? So, but if you want to ask, hey, are you ready to come Thursday night or anything like that, anything where you expect a conversation, not just a yes answer, you guys, it's a pick up the phone. It's have a conversation with these folks. You know what I mean? It is literally where you're having a conversation with someone. So for example, one of my, someone posted on Facebook the other day and got a couple of responses and stuff and started communicating and immediately as soon as they ask a question, it's not typically out on social media. You want to move it to a private message or something like that. So, in doing so, the minute that the discussion opens up, I believe it's better to make a phone call and ask questions about, like, so for example, this person was questioning some of the process of what she was doing. And so the goal would be to communicate the way the individual wants to be communicated right up until the time where you need to be able to get in touch with them personally. Because when you can get in touch with them personally, you can control the conversation. When they ask a hard question, you can ask, like Michael says a lot, or Christian says this, hey, what do you mean by that? Can you explain that a little bit more, right? So you can get a little bit more time. You're buying time to really be able to ask the right question. And then you can ask a question about, what it is that they're looking for, what are they already doing? And then you can get to a point. Remember, this is still in the invitation stage, right? So you haven't even invited them yet. But they're showing interest in some of the things that you're doing. So you just can't come out just because they have expressed an interest and be like, hey, you want to go to this meeting? But you want to find out, hey, are you looking to invest in real estate? Are you looking to use your 401k? Have you done it before? And through text message, that's quite a bit, right? But on a phone conversation, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more personal. It's a lot more private, and you have that opportunity. So, as I move through, especially like if we think about this, if there's someone that you thought was a great prospect, they just didn't show up. Maybe you had even if it was cold market, you had a great conversation with them and you're like, oh my God, I got this guy coming or this girl coming. And it's going to be awesome. And it's been a while. They ghosted. They didn't show. They didn't take your calls afterwards. No big deal, right? And you can go either way. But you could text them. But if you call them, most likely they're not going to recognize your number after a couple of weeks anyway. But if you call them and they actually do answer, or you leave a decent message, it's personal, right? It means something to them. It means that you care. Sharing is caring, right? Reaching out to someone, having a voice, taking the time out of your day to call someone goes a long way. It goes a lot longer than just a simple text message, which takes a couple seconds and no thought. And honestly, text message erases some of the fear. It makes us feel like we're working or doing something, so we feel good about it. It gives us a reason to enable us to feel like we're doing some work and stuff like that. And so it's not the worst thing, but at the same time, it truly is almost an excuse for you not to do the real work. This is a people business, and until somebody proves me otherwise, for the most part, that I can see across the country, Bob has set this up, and the way Renatus is set up is it's an event-driven people business. We close sales with people coming to events, the major majority. We engage with people, and people become more successful when they come to an event and when they meet the community and they see the power of the community and people are more successful in real estate and business because of the community. And it's a people business. And so, being that, it's imperative that we talk to people on the phone. So, if you're looking through your notes and you're finding an individual that perhaps you had a conversation with in the past, instead of shooting them a text message and using that as your excuse, if you want, I reached out to, I reached out, I prospected, I get it, but take the time. And I don't mean in passing. I got 5 minutes. I'm walking to work. I'm going to make a quick call. I mean, you got to set aside 15 minutes or so, and it might not take 15 minutes, but you've got to have the time, and you've got to be in the right state of mind. You've heard me talk about it. For me, state of mind is huge. I mean, I look at calls all the time, and it doesn't matter who it is. Even like my best friends, I don't want to just call them, people that don't live in the area. I don't want to just call them, hey man, how you doing? I got 2 minutes. I'm at the store. I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, you're on the conversation, but you're not really on the conversation, right? And we all try to multitask, and it's not as effective. It's efficient, but it's definitely not effective. So when we're going to prospect these folks, it's stop the car, sit on the side of the road or in a parking lot or after school while you're waiting for the kids, but make sure you got time if you're waiting for the kids. If you're on lunch break, make sure you have the time. You're going to make a couple calls. And it might not take all the time, but you've got to set aside the time and be in the right state of mind. You have to take your mind off of whatever it is that's going on in your life, and then make that call to that person intentionally. And I'll tell you, it'll feel good, even if they don't answer and you leave a decent message. Hey, this is Bill. You know what? You're never going to believe this. I was flipping through my phone, and I just totally remembered our conversations. I'm sure you do too. I know how excited. Remember, I'm always putting it on them. I know how excited you were when we spoke. You just inspired me. I bet you really were hoping to see that information. Something obviously came up, but let me know. And I don't even like let me know anymore. It gives them an out. I like, give me a call, shoot me a text. Give them a call to action, right? A command. It interrupts people's patterns in their mind when they're told to do something. Listen, look, listen to me, notice. Those are key words that grab attention and stop people from thinking about what they're thinking about. And then they're directed to what you're about to say. And then a question, right? Tell me what you want to do. Let's get you to the meeting next week, whatever it is, right? And so it's a nice message. And even if you do get that message through, it makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel, like you've made some progress. It wasn't just a quick text that may or may not ever get back. They might not call you, but it was a personal touch. And so, there was another thought I was going to say. No one in the chat yet. Okay, so cool. So we're constantly on. Let's see here. I wish I could remember that thought. That's all right. I don't know why I can't remember what I was thinking. So when you're in that state of mind, you want to stop what you're doing and you want to focus on that, and then you can move on to what you want. I think it's important that you spend the time. Thanks, Gilles. That you spend the time when you're going to make the call, when you're doing what you're doing, that you take the time out and do it on purpose, instead of just going through the motions, if that makes sense. And it's not going to be as effective. It might work 1 out of 100, but you'll have a lot more, I think, response when you are seriously working on making the communication with the individual. Okay, so I lost my whole train of thought there. Thanks, Gail. I can't think of what I was thinking about. So I'm going to move on. So always on. What's another example? I know what I was going to say. Perfect. Takes me a minute. So here's something to think about. When you are, this helps me. I like to watch movies. I probably spend too much time watching movies, definitely on the plane. That's where I watch a lot of movies. But at night, on the weekend, once a week, probably Sherry and I watch a movie. But there's so many inspirational quotes on Facebook and stuff like that and Instagram. They can help. But I think, some of these, some of the generally speaking, and then of course the matrix, the money matrix and stuff, these stories are motivational and they're inspiring. And I think that the more often you can inspire yourself with something, that will help you to want to reach out to more people, either again or new people, right? And back to the beginning there, when we were talking about see the people, and I know you guys know this, but I'm trying to get some, not just general knowledge, but some specifics, right? So, when we're talking about seeing the people and we develop a pipeline, it's important that we walk someone through the process. And so, we make the ad or we make the touch and then we get a response, whether it's warm or cold market. And again, this applies to real estate too. And then we move to some sort of pain through questions, right? Why are you selling, or what are you looking for, right? Did you answer the ad or whatever the case is, or have you ever thought of this, or have you ever thought of that, right? The questions that intrigue people, that interest people, that, pretty much we know the answer to. And we leading questions. And then, then we present a solution, which is typically going to the event. If I could show you this, if I could share with you this story, if I could introduce you to this person, if I could show you how we're doing this, would that be of interest to you? Would that be worth an hour of your time? Whatever the case is, right? And so then we move them to the meeting and we look forward to meeting them. And then we want to book a meeting from a meeting and follow up, or book them to the next meeting, which is going to be the follow up or the property tour. We know this system. What we have to remember is that, you'll hear some people really having some success in Renatus, either in the beginning or maybe it's been 2 years. It doesn't matter. But typically it's massive action. It's typically where they are talking to a lot of people. Now, again, going back to the beginning of this is where the sacrifice comes in. When I take massive action in the marketing, there's no question that my real estate has to fall off a little bit. There's just not enough time in the day. You've got paperwork to do. You've got a life to live. You've got kids to feed. You've got all these things going on in your world, and you'd have to work 24 hours a day. But if you want the result that you want in a certain amount of time from this business, then the time needs to be put in. And it's not labor time. It's not hard work. It's not sit down, lock yourself in the office for 2 hours every other half a day or whatever it is. But it's constant time. You are constantly doing some things that are either going to interrupt what you're doing in your life, or you're going to have to skip some of the things that you would normally be doing. You might not be able to go to lunch with your friends at work. Maybe you don't go have a cigarette on your break, but you go and make a call. Maybe you don't, maybe you get up a little bit earlier and you don't avoid rush hour traffic, and you make calls in rush hour traffic where you're parked in a parking lot. Obviously you don't want to text and drive and stuff, but maybe you beat the rush hour traffic, you save yourself some time, you're there an hour early, and now you're at work with nothing to do for an hour, and you can sit in the parking lot and get some business done. I don't know what it is for you. All I know what it is for me, right? And what it is for me is, I even have to draw some boundaries, to be honest with you, but I'm always flipping through my phone. When I'm in the car, when nothing is going on, when I'm not on the phone with somebody, I'm thinking about the next person I need to talk to, whether it's the next project or the next individual. This morning walking my dogs, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got this warm market and that warm market. I got to hit more warm market, right? I talked about going through my phone last week and I didn't do it the whole weekend. And so I need to hit that this morning. So already this morning, I also texted a few of my, I got like 3 or 4 different texts that I haven't sent yet, but I've texted a few of my teammates, let them know I'm back. I text my whole group yesterday and stuff like that. But just personally reached out to individuals on the team, and I'm going to do that for a few more. Right. And so I'm constantly on that way. And if you don't have a team, it's no big deal, but you definitely have prospects, and you definitely have a warm market that you haven't touched, or you haven't touched in a while. So, all right. So what I was getting at is get motivated. Like, it helps to, in my opinion, for me, it really helps to get encouraged, to get inspired, right? People love to be inspired. And, you know, a lot of times on Facebook, I'll scroll through, not because I'm looking, you know, I want to like people's stuff, so I'm engaging for that reason only, typically. But then two, I do look for some of the inspirational stuff that's on Facebook, right? And I do want to draw a connection between that inspirational stuff and someone I need to talk to, or inspire myself to do more, to do better, to do more, right? And think about the things that I want and the things that I want to accomplish, and see some of the things that other people have seen and done, and then therefore I want to do that too. And then that reminds me to, I'm going to give you an example. So, man, so yesterday at lunch, me and my buddy Joe and my buddy Sean, part of Renata's, also investor partners of mine, you know, so on and so forth. These guys were having lunch after we went and checked out this property. And we were talking about Wolf of Wall Street. And it was in fun. It was just, you know, it's a great movie. It's Jordan Belfort, right? It's an unbelievable story. Now the guy, you know, is training all over the world on how to, you know, be top sales and all that kind of stuff, and how he trained a team and everything. Probably really good information, worth paying for. But the movie itself was very inspiring to me. I love the movie. And we were joking around. We were just talking about it for fun, but it got me fired up, right? It got me excited about going to work this week. It was a Monday, the holiday. You know, it was winding down. You know, I was going to go home and go out to lunch with Sherry or to dinner with Sherry, and we were going to, you know, get some stuff done together. Her friends were leaving the house. She had some friends over. And so I wasn't getting down about going to work this week, right? I was getting motivated about going to work. I was getting motivated about getting up at 5 a.m. this morning so that I could walk my dog, so I could be ready for this call. And then I could start my day and go to the gym and go to my team meeting, and then get to work and see if I've got one-on-ones this afternoon, and so on and so forth, right? So honestly, you guys, if we think about, you know, took 4 days off, went out to Philly, came back, had a holiday, you know, then you think about the holiday, you got to clean the house, you got to get ready for work, and then the week comes along and you got to get back into routine, and it's just miserable, right? It doesn't have to be miserable. It's still your W-2, but I got inspired by thinking about what it would be like to be Jordan Belfort, right? What it would be like to have whatever I want. And we happen to be sitting at this restaurant where we were out on the deck. I was having a beer, drinking some food, or eating some food, and there's a valet right in front of us. And so the valet naturally parks a lot of nice cars. So we're looking at the cars, and we're looking at the people, and we're talking about, you know, this movie. And it's just motivating. It's not envy, you know, maybe a little bit, but it's inspiring, right? It's good things. And it makes you want to work harder and do more and talk to more people and inspire more people. So, you know, if you are struggling with that, or, you know, if there's things that, especially in like Renata's, right? If it was easy, everybody on this call would be on the pack or on the pit. And we wouldn't even have these trainings, right? We'd all be training, just working with our people, and everybody be getting 5-star right away. And it doesn't work that way, you know, in any business. I don't care what it is. I was thinking about it, this gaming thing, right? Gaming is off the chain. And now these folks are making millions of dollars when they're sponsored, the best of the best, right? It's professional. More people in 2018 watched gaming than they did the Super Bowl. I mean, it's just really come about. And it's a multi-billion dollar, whatever the heck industry it is. And so it's like, oh, you know, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, Your kids could, you could encourage your kids to do gaming then, right? And these gamers are playing 4, 6, 8, 10 hours a day for a long period of time. And then they're getting notified and they're getting on teams, right? But as of yet, there's no gaming scholarships, right? There's the select 1% of 1% that are on these pro teams, right? You look at these pro teams in gaming and there's 10 people or 8 people on the whole team, and there's only a dozen teams that I even recognize or was even seeing that were these full pro teams that were at these major national, international tournaments they were having, right? God, if I can remember what my analogy was with this game, guys. I was trying to remember it. Now I can't remember. So I'm going to go back to what I was saying. Man, I don't know why I lost my thought there. Interesting. See how this goes? No matter what your, what I was talking about before, no matter what your, with Renatus and with, the struggles that we have in Renatus. If everybody, if every business in the world were easy, everybody would do it. And that's why I was saying gaming, right? It doesn't matter what people are doing, even if they're an athlete, any type of work. And we all know this. We all know that people aren't overnight successes in any case. But if you like it, you always hear me say, if you don't ever learn to quit Renatus, never ever learn to quit Renatus, and you continually inspire yourself to do this business, it will pay off, right? And so the trick is that we have slow results. We have a tendency in this business, or any business for that matter. If you even think about a franchise, how you don't even start to make money necessarily. You pay yourself a salary as a franchise owner, but you don't really start to even make money over and above your investment for at least 5 years if you even make it that far, right? And so the expectation is that any business is going to take time. There's going to be ups and downs. And yet in real estate, it's interesting. And even in direct sales, multi-level marketing, whatever, these types of at-home businesses, we have this expectation because we're sold on it that it's going to happen overnight. And that's why I think that we're so far ahead of the curve, is that we don't sell people on that pipe dream, on get rich quick. We sell people on a process, and we have a product that can take the extra money you're going to start making with Renatus and put it into long-term investments like real estate when you know how to do it. Remember, you guys, if you have any thoughts or questions or comments, or you want me to talk about anything, feel free to chime in. All right, so let's spend the next 12 minutes wrapping this up and moving it forward with practical information on your prospects. For me, I talked to you about my list. I constantly follow up on it through text and through phone call. There's someone, for another example, my plumber, Josh. Oh wow, I have a meeting today with Ricky. That reminds me. So Ricky came to an event at regionals last year. It's almost regional season already. And I reached out to him last week and talked to him again about what's going on. I have business with him on other things in real estate. And I was like, hey man, are we going to ever follow up on the Renatus opportunity and what you want to do? And sure enough, we set an appointment for today. So I have a one-on-one with Ricky. I almost forgot about it. I have to look at my schedule. My plumber. I've been talking to my plumber for over a year about Renatus, at least maybe 2 years. And I believe I've got a commitment. He's given me a commitment before for him and his dad and possibly his girlfriend to come Thursday night. So we'll see. But again, when I was talking to him about one of the properties he's working on this weekend, I also was texting about Thursday night and making sure that he reconfirmed with his dad that his dad can make it and so on and so forth. And so always looking for the way to move people through, and I'm constantly looking through my phone. So we've already gone over that. Now, with warm market and with folks that can't make it to an event, we always want to make them get to an event, right? But Josh, Ricky, they are warm market of mine. They understand what I do. They've seen it on Facebook. We've had conversations about it. They understand price tags. They understand how I've had one-on-ones with them. It's just a matter of introducing them to something a little bit more because they haven't committed to the sale. They don't know enough information. They haven't spent enough time on it. They know enough, but they don't know enough to make a decision. I don't even necessarily want them to make a decision because they haven't seen everything. So it's moving them to a live event. It's moving them to taking a look and meeting some of the other people in the community and seeing how real it is, if that makes sense. So with some of the folks that have gone to a meeting, for example, I had a conversation this weekend over the phone with someone that had been to a meeting, a warm market friend of mine, right? Someone who's already been to a meeting but has been busy, just hasn't had the time to really consider this, doesn't think he has the time to do this. So it was another conversation. The conversation was about friendship, and I'd called for a different reason. But naturally, I progressed into a conversation about what we did. And it comes from, how busy he is and, how badly he's talked about other things and wanting to do other things. And then I bring it back to Renatus, right? And when are we going to sit down? Let's get you started, right? And, when do you want to get enrolled so we can make this thing happen and start now? I know you're busy now, but by the time things settle down, you'll already have this in place. You'll already be working on it, and you could transition nice and easily into what we've got going. And so it's either in my head, but more importantly, it's on my paperwork and it's in my phone. And so those three things I'm constantly working on to remind myself of who I need to talk to, especially when I've got time. Like there was time when we were with family this weekend that they were out, the girls all went and got manicures and pedicures and stuff. So me and Jake stayed behind. I was talking to him about his work and stuff. And then, he had to go take care of the baby. It's his kid. And so he stayed home with the kid. When he would get up, I would go through my phone and work a little bit, right? The TV's on. I don't even know what show was on. But, it was nice outside. I sat out on the deck, grabbed a beer, and I'm working. It's really easy work, and I got to that before. Yeah, Rico, there's no question. You guys, I get ghosted as much or more than anybody. I have had people on my team and myself where we have actually placed orders, signed the individual order, walking through it and never heard from them again. Oh, I'm going to go home and talk to my mom about the money. Oh, yeah, let's talk next week. Let's call tomorrow. Let's meet today. Whatever it's going to be, we'll work on the fun. Nothing. Right? I've been ghosted after orders have been placed and even signed. I've been ghosted when people show up and are hugging me that night after the meeting, and then come Friday night. It doesn't matter. You guys, it doesn't matter. The only time it matters is if it's one person a week and that's all you're working with. And unfortunately, in the beginning, for a lot of us, we don't take massive action and we only have one person a week or one person a month. And then it means everything to you and it's devastating. Yeah. If you're too busy and you've got 5 or 6 people a week or 5 or 6 people a month that you're working with, if 2, 3, 4 of them ghost, it doesn't matter to you because you don't have enough time to deal with everybody anyway. And you work with the 2 people who are not ghosting you or are showing interest and who want to find the money and want to go through Get Funded. Right? You've got to hit those ratios. You've got to hit those numbers where, you've got 5, 10, 15, 20 people over a month or 2 of time that you're working with because 2 or 4 of them are going to want to be a part of this one way or the other, at least get to the funding stages and want to come to a few more events so they can get through the process to have enough information to make the right decision. Right? So it's so imperative. There's no question that whatever it is that you're doing, that everybody knows this guy, right? What time we got? 7:50. Everybody knows. Oh my God, I can't remember the guy's name. Oh my God, Grant Cardone, right? There's a reason that Grant Cardone has whatever his theme is when he just had I don't even know what he had. I want to say 150,000 or 50,000 people there in Florida. And it's the 10 times, right? 10 times whatever you're doing now. 10 times everything, 10 times your income, 10 times your lead source, 10 times the amount of time you're putting into everything. That's massive action is all he's talking about, in my opinion. There's a lot more detail to it. Obviously, he puts a whole weekend on it and costs a lot of money to go that thing. I don't have no idea. Yeah, I can mute everybody. Let's see. There's a couple people that aren't on mute. Oh, come on. That's frustrating. Oh, that's funny. Dan, you totally picked out who I was talking about. There we go. Can you hear me? I think you can hear me. There we go. Cool. All right. So as I finish up here, let's see. 10 times. My only suggestion then for myself, right? I'm at $70,000, I think, for the year in 5 months. May was slow. May is my slowest month that I've had after coming off of what's the word I'm saying? London and my London trip. And I think I only made, I got to check it. I might make 5,000 this month. I got to check it in the marketing. And so for me, I got to look at what I've done and I've got to take twice as much action because I'm looking at the numbers and I have a minimum goal this year of $200,000 in the marketing for this year. Okay. Minimum. And so I'm basically a third of the way there. And if I'm 5 months in, that means I need a 15-month year, right? And we all measure things, we all calculate it and stuff like that. So now the good news is I've got a pipeline, right? So it's from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, I'll have more people that might close towards the end of the year. We know that the season, the biggest, baddest season we have is at the end of the year, in the spring, in the fall. Moving up to the holidays, that's when we have more sales typically than any other time of the year. But the issue with that is a lot of people are hard to contact. Our numbers go down in the summer because everybody's traveling. They're on vacation with their kids and all these other life things are going on. Their money's not as much of an issue for them. Tax season is over. All of these things start to play a role. So you've got to consider that too. So what I'm getting at is whatever you're doing now, for me, I've got to look at it and I've got to take more massive action. I've got to double and triple my efforts in order to assure myself that I make the 200. If I stay with the same efforts and something falls short, I'm going to fall short. So I have to look at what I've done and I have to double or triple or quadruple what I've done. I know what I've done is not enough. It's great. I'm excited about it, but it's nowhere near what I want to be, right? It's nowhere near what I want to be. You know, in reality, I would have loved to have been at least 100 right now. 120, matched already in 5 months what I did my entire year last year, right? And so wherever you guys are, it's not, I promise you this, it's not difficult. It's not easy, but it's not difficult. It's simple. And how it's simple is simply talking to more people. And I know that sounds easier than said than done, and it is. But you have a source that you're getting leads from somewhere or the other, and you probably have more than one source. So whatever that source is, just spend more time on it. If it's Facebook, spend more time on Facebook on purpose on Facebook, not scrolling and commenting and doing all the Facebook crap that the 99%ers do. Do what the 1% do. Be on Facebook on purpose. Study and learn how to use Facebook. If it's in your phone, in your email, in your warm market, spend more time on it. Do something more, do something different. Do something that is meant for them, to inspire them, not for you. Don't do something selfish. Do something unselfish, right? And if it's lead generation from cold market, street signs, or wherever it is that you're using your marketing, then put out a few more signs, or do whatever it takes there. Thanks, Mark and Dan, for your comments there. I appreciate it. So that's what I'll leave you with, and that's what I'm leaving myself with. Because as of today, I watched a movie. I don't even know. It was so freaking good. And I think I'd seen it a long time ago, but it was called Dead Poets Society. And you probably all know it. If you don't, it's phenomenal. And in there is seize the day, right? And seize the freaking day. Like carpe diem, I think is what the Latin word is. It's the craziest thing. Because I was watching I watch these shows when I'm feeding my dog, and it was, I'll leave you with this before you hang up. It was like Dateline, and this lady was murdered. And sure as shit, they show her tombstone, and the dad's, mourning over the daughter's murder. And cool, Tyler. And they scrolled down the tombstone, and at the bottom it said carpe diem in parentheses. She was a go-getter, whatever the case is. You guys, seize the freaking day and just do more. Inspire more people. And if you need help inspiring more people, freaking inspire yourself. Find something that motivates you and just pay a little more attention to it. And then turn that into something you can do for somebody else. I hope that this made sense. I struggled all last night. I thought about it in my sleep, and then I woke up and walked 40 minutes with my dogs today, thinking about what I wanted to train on. And believe it or not, my freaking notes are completely blank.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
2 days ago, we went as a family to a restaurant for lunch, and the owner of the restaurant is somebody that I know because I've taken clients from my W-2 job there a few times. Corey just started chatting the guy up, and we got a lead from him. One of his best friends is in real estate and is looking for something. So you're saying seize the day. That's exactly it. 3-foot rule works.
There's absolutely no question. Thanks for sharing that, Ron. I'll tell you, you guys know Chris McIntosh makes his living in Renatus almost $200,000 a year doing 3-foot rule. 100%, you guys. Thank you so much for being on this call. It's after time. Everybody have a great day. Make it great. Just inspire yourselves, inspire other people. I love that you guys are on this call with me. I appreciate it more than you guys know. Thank you so much, everybody. You're welcome, Rico. I hope I'm saying that right, Rico. I love that name. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Ron, for coming out. And everybody make it a great day. Happy Tuesday. And I'll see you next week. I'll see you tomorrow on the call. If you need me, you've got my number, 760-533-3141. Feel free to give me a call. And you're welcome, Lee. You guys are awesome. Great call. Thank you, Tyrone. Love you guys. Make it a great day. See you later. You got it. Thank you.